homework and really wanted to look at something that we can, do collectively to really create an impact. And then I was reading the news, the Kenya news, and was watching some videos online about a crisis that's currently happening in Kenya with child pregnancies. I think the youngest we've seen so far is a 10-year-old. I did see a 13-year-old that I had twins, and it's just the girls are sitting at home, schools are closed, churches are closed, and I think I shared this with you guys before. Having our young girls in school, or at least at churches, or this kind of safe spaces really, really helps them fight this issue that continues to just impact young girls in Africa in general. The numbers are alarming. They're getting worse by the day, and yet today the government has reissued more restrictions. So we don't know when schools will reopen. So it just poses such a great risk to the children. So first of all, I'd like to introduce Rose, and then once Rose has shared her background and what her organization has done, then I would like to take a few minutes to go over the plan that we've created. We want to share with you a very structured plan of how we would like to move on with this initiative. So Rose and I have been friends for a long time. We actually met in the giving community. We've been involved in several initiatives locally here in Florida, and also contributing to the efforts that she does in Kenya. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Rose. Take it away. Tell the group a little about yourself and the work that you have done through the organization.
Thank you so much. I am humbled to be here, and I want to apologize. There's some background music that I don't have control of. I hope it is not too loud.
We can't hear it. It's good.
Good. So once again, I'm humbled to be here. My name is Rose Okwany Oginga. I am a nurse by profession. I am an author of 2 books, Unmasking Bullying and another one called Budget Fitting. All this, budget fitting and unmasking bullying. This enables youth and women to prosper. So we are the mothers, and we need to help our children grow. And the unmasking bullying covers all ages, from age 1 through to 80 and above. Why? Bullying is everywhere, and we need to tackle it with confidence and knowing how to handle it without having issues. I am the founder of IHOPE. IHOPE stands for International Health Operation Patient and Education Empowerment. The reason why I began this is because of the need that there was. When I was growing up, I was not allowed to continue with my high school. Why? Because women are supposed to be married, or girls are supposed to be married at 14 years old, and that's it. They bring in what we call the cows. That is the family's goal. When you have girls, that is wealth. So I was fortunate enough, my father took me through school, and here I am with a master's degree. I wouldn't have done it without the help of the community. My father wasn't able to do it though, but he insisted that if we can get help and get you through, that would be amazing. Hence, IHOPE was born, because I got the opportunity. I want to send it to so many girls, so many young men, so that they also realize the goodness of education that there is. Hence, IHOPE helps through or do education of healthcare, and also education in the formal way, through scholarship and also mentoring and coaching. We have been able to work with the community. We are a community-based organization, voluntary. Everybody comes in as a volunteer, and we make sure that we work 50-50. The community gets engaged, and we also do our part as an organization. We are a 501c3. If anybody is interested in helping out and asking for their receipt and recognition of the 501c3 status. We are based in Florida. We work everywhere in the world. However, for now, we have targeted Kenya. We did work with the community and was able to do 200 uniforms with the community, engaging the parents, engaging the teachers, engaging the students. Their job was just to go to school. It was a success because we identified the problem and worked with the community. We went ahead and asked them, what else do we need to do? they asked for books for library. And we targeted the rural regions where there are no libraries. They have never seen a book to flip and say, this is my copy. So that was our target. We were fortunately enough, we got sponsors, Books for Africa and the Fisher Riverview Rotary Club, which I'm a member of. And we were able to take over 5,000 boxes of books to Kenya, which were distributed to over 15 schools in the rural village. Currently, save for the COVID-19, 10,000 kids are enjoying books. Unfortunately, because the schools are closed down, they cannot get this access. We only pray that we could have gotten maybe iPads, they could still have access, you know. Having said that, we work on the missions because we engage in healthcare. We were able to do a mission in 2018 to deliver and teach and treat. In 2018, we treated over 3,000 patients. Now we had to make a follow-up and we realized what was lacking was the education. So we engaged our board, which is comprised of 9 people. We have the president, the treasurer, the board, microfinance director, and also education director. So we are 9 of us. All of us here are based in the US. So where are they at? Of course, and one more in Canada. We have the education and microfinance leader who is in Canada. She's a CPA, help us to manage our books. We have an investment and mortgage personnel who is based here in Florida with me in Tampa. So we are able to coordinate well. We have the educator who is in Chicago. And then we have the scholarship personnel who is also in Michigan. So we've been able to work as a team. We have people in Texas. We have people in Austin, Texas, and Dallas, Texas, and California as well. So we are working globally, thanks to global networking.
May I ask a question?
Please.
So you've got the 5,000 boxes of books that went over. How many people are we talking about in these rural villages? How many kids?
The kids we are talking about currently is 10,000 kids. And you see, it's a continuous. When they go to the high school, as the younger kids coming, they're enjoying these books. As much as there's a problem, they don't have a library, so they make a makeshift under the tree and read those books. There's just, to them, that is just an opportunity that can never go. What has it done to that community? It has allowed the young people to look forward every day to read books. And how did we get these books? As I said, from Books of Africa, well-wishers locally and all over US collected them together and sent them to Kenya. We realized it was very expensive. So we now currently are working with the local libraries to get books that are fairly cheaper in terms of logistics. Yes.
Okay. And then you also mentioned iPads. If they had iPads, do they have Wi-Fi or cell connection to be able to utilize like Kindles?
Very well. Many of the local, urban, rural areas right now are getting electrification. And majority of them are lucky now they can get the Wi-Fi.
Great.
Yeah,
For the question.
I think the evolution of technology and telecommunications in Kenya is really, really impressive. And, you know, Rose comes from the more western part of Kenya, which is Kisumu. We are in Eldoret, which is kind of southwest, I guess. And in the library that we have, which coincidentally, we actually used Books for Africa, the same program. And our library locally can services 7 elementary schools. So we rotate the kids that go in and out of the library. And our library too, you know, they've really done a great job. We have a young man out of Kansas City that really spearheaded that project from my hometown, my village. And these kids, you know, they have full access now to computers, Wi-Fi, and it really helps. And those are desktop computers, but yeah, so I mean, what Rose has done, I mean, we talk about 10,000 kids, Ashley, or, in my area, maybe a few thousand. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of children. It's such a massive initiative, but what we've decided to do as the Kenyan community is bite a little bits of it and just continue making a difference until everybody is touched.
So now that they're not in school, how are you distributing and interfacing with these kids?
Everything has come to a standstill. Go ahead, Rose.
That's a huge challenge in the areas that I presented the books, because they're not in the same area. It's all over Kenya, central, Mombasa area, Kitale area, Western Kenya. So they are all over. That is a little bit of a challenge for us right now. And more so even with the government, because even as we are the US, we are so lucky. We have our students being taught online. They don't. So there's a huge gap. And it is my prayer that one day, even if I have one particular school, get the refurbished computers and just sit around that and do some homework or get some training. It would be amazing. So that's our future project. We are hoping we can get partnership with people who are in the tech world and make it a success, because the books have really changed their attitude towards schools and literacy as a whole. Yes. Absolutely.
So do you have people there on the ground that are working with your organization, or do you have to go?
Very well. I do have representatives, volunteers, and as now, we have an average of 300 volunteers. So it makes it easier to coordinate in every sector that they have. The reason why we use this method is evidence-based. They know what is on the ground. I don't. I'm an American. Now I claim because I'm here and I'm a citizen. So definitely they'll give me the right feedback, and I will definitely follow up by looking at the results and the problem and the solution. And it has worked. And that's why I was saying when we did our medical mission, we realized the need. The need was lack of education. So we embark on educating them about their health being, stroke, diabetes, benign cancers, prostate cancers. And with culture, prostate cancer is never discussed. That's a taboo. How do you talk about your, So having said that, we bring the professionals and teach them what it is and why they should take care of themselves. And with great appreciation, this is the second year we've done that, following up on what we began in 2018, it is a success. They always look forward to. How do we do it? We work with the local doctors, the local therapists, the local professionals to make it a success. Yes.
So right now, with everything that is going on, and obviously, is coronavirus hitting pretty heavily there?
Yes, right now the coronavirus is hitting, and we are doing all that we can through the government to make sure that everything is done according to the guideline. Social distancing, masking, having very few people in the room and all that stuff, just like we are doing here. It has kind of controlled it so much. So what has hit us now, if I may continue, is this pregnancy crisis that my friend has been talking about. Because of the lockdown, people have taken advantage of these young kids, young girls. And why are they taking advantage? The kids don't have the Wi-Fi. They don't have the pads. Sorry about that. They don't have the sanitary towels. And what do? They go to the next person who can get that money, but they cannot even help them at all. So that's why there's a lot of situation that has caused, unfortunately, pregnancy to little kids. They've been taken advantage of, some incest, some rape, and they don't go telling it. It's very sad. And hence, I spoke with Oglah and encouraged that what can we do? So we just need a solution to educate the girls. Things have happened. We have to have reproductive health education. As a nurse, I'm pained to see that kids, when they get pregnant, they are disowned by the parents at age 10, 11, 12, then what? So we are trying to reteach them that that's not right. This kid can still grow, take care of that kid, go back to school and change their lives. So that is our goal. And with help of friends, I think we can do well.
So Rose, what you just said really surprised me. So if a 10 or 11 or 12-year-old comes home pregnant, their parents then disown. Where do they go? Where are they getting?
Remember my story? Go get married. If dad did that to me, I would not be in the US. I would not have my master's degrees in leadership. I would not be a nurse currently. And I was a teacher for 15 years, so I know the pain. That's the end of their lives. Most of the kids, you go get married, the parents get their cows, and that's it, you're done.
The groups that normally intervene are church groups will intervene. There's a lot of women groups in Kenya and Africa in general that really get involved. There's actually a group of nuns I was reading last night. There's a group of nuns in central Kenya that have just made it their mission, and these girls get dropped off there sometimes at night because people don't want to be identified. Sometimes it's a mother that's just trying to save their child because from the wrath of the father. And they just drop them off somewhere where they're able to have a child, and sometimes they're able to come back home, sometimes they can't. So they provide them some hands-on skills like sewing or farming or whatever, so that they can at least learn to take care of themselves and the new baby.
So I had asked you last time we talked if there were a lot of orphanages, and you said there are some, but not a lot. It's not it's not as prevalent as I would think it would be. And it sounds like there's at least now going to really be a demand for that.
Yeah, the whole orphanage thing in Africa in general is treated like a taboo because and that's a cultural issue that it's going to take a lot to overcome because traditionally if we were still in that old African culture, it's the grandmother that would take on these children so they never leave. So there are some orphanages, but they're still frowned on. They're not really supported. A lot of them are foreign backed by volunteers or missionaries. And so it is a challenge. It really is a challenge in Kenya.
So if you could give us 3 or 4 things that we could do to have an impact, to make an impact, I would guess at the top of the list would be financial. What else could we do?
One of the things Rose, can I present the plan real quick?
Yeah, please.
Okay. One of the things that we did is, if you look at the post I did on Facebook, the individuals that responded are pretty powerful women. We have one of our top gospel singers in Kenya and Africa that's part of that response. We have the first petroleum engineer in Kenya, female petroleum engineer in Kenya, who actually went to school here in Texas. She's back home and she has a large young girls mentoring organization. So what our plan is, we want to, first of all, awareness and letting the girls know that there's somebody watching over, or there's somebody that's noticing and they have a voice. So awareness will come through. We've thought about maybe our gospel singer, writing a song very quickly, and that will spread faster because people have access to phones and YouTube and all that stuff. We've also planned to bring the awareness to 6 regions in Kenya, starting with the one that's most affected. If we were right now, the current restrictions obviously are restricting large groups, but there were some leeways where if we had 50 or less and there was social distancing and maybe outdoor, we can actually be able to hold events of 50 young girls, maybe 10 volunteers, or 60 total with social distancing, and we'll provide masks and we'll provide supplies like sanitary pads, bathing soap, and these are the rural parts of Kenya. The plan would be to do 14 events total. Each budget, a dollar is 200 Kenya, a dollar is 100 Kenya shillings. So if we donated $200 for each of the 14 events, our budget is $2,800 that we can raise, and that would be able to help us, build these packages, of masks, sanitary pads, bathing soap, maybe, toothpaste, toothbrush in a package. we want to hand over those packages, but not just without having them sit down and go through a presentation. We will engage with the, the local pastors. We have Rose's group has juvenile therapists on there. We have some doctors, some educationists that can really go help deliver a message of reproductive education, and also awareness of how to keep yourself safe and how not to be in these areas where you can be pried on if whatever we can do to prevent. So 14 events by August 31st. The Kenyan government just released the new restrictions for Corona. And Rose and I were studying those this morning. We're going to verify with the group if we can actually do this at all. Otherwise, we're going to have to do some sort of virtual. But we think that we can do it as long as we stick with the 50 young girls in 14 events. That will give us 750 girls that's touched. And even if one of those girls talk to one more girl, and it just impacts where they can at least hit 10 girls within their groups. That would give us almost 7,500 girls that we can touch before August 31st, knowing that we're not going to solve the whole problem, but to myself and to Rose, sitting down and not doing anything is not an option at this point. So that's the plan that we put together. We would have to raise $2,800 as quickly as possible to get these things going. And then also engaging the different leaders and High Hope organization to make sure we get this done.
Hopefully that is easily doable. Uncomfortable question, but obviously pregnancy rates are up for these kids. What about STDs?
That's part of the education, is bringing in the doctors. Right now, we have to thread carefully because, believe it or not, there's some mothers still in rural Africa that won't give us access to the girls. But by creating these safe spaces where it's just girls and obviously volunteers and doctors, we hope that we can teach, we can, at least bring awareness and say, hey, you can talk to somebody, there's a doctor in the group, there's a therapist in the group, because STDs will be rampant, and also the pregnancies and then post-pregnancy. So this is Rose and I talked late last night. This is gonna take a very long time because the repercussion of that is just gonna continue. The other thing too is, on a bigger scale, I would love to have access to the database because they're tracking it. This technology in Kenya is really advanced. The reason we know these numbers is because they're nonprofit organizations that have actually created these apps that, when you put on that, because everybody in Kenya has a cell phone right now, believe it or not, even the lady selling vegetables on the road, but they're actually able to track, dispensaries, hospitals can track these young children. That's why we have access to that data. I wish we had the database itself so we can know exactly and pinpoint where is the girl, right?
Yes. May I add something? I hope has a safe haven because we handle the domestic violence. And now that with the increase of this, it has really, really escalated. So the safe havens are in Nairobi mostly because that the slum regions have tendency of having this kind of situations. And we accept people who want to adopt the students in this situation because we alone, me and Olga, cannot do it. But we believe that when we come as a community, we can do much more. We just wanted, our aim or our goal is always give a solution. Don't give the fish, they'll eat it and then what? So we are geared towards saving the life right now and also looking forward in how best can we do the mentoring and the coaching and training so that they have the skills to stand up for themselves. I'm a witness and I can tell you that if it were not for that, I would be nowhere.
Yeah, we've stopped. When I started doing this back in 2009, I realized that money can only take you so far. Awareness and empowerment, like when we really go down there and we have these rallies and we really, really put a lot of energy and inspiration and kind of create these girl warriors amongst those groups, it makes a bigger difference. Because I think there's been a lot of money that has been put in these causes in Africa. Africa, Red Cross, the Bill Gates Foundation. We can go on and on and on. And they've been able to establish, on the bigger scale, they do, they build churches and schools and centers where they can go to. My church here in Windermere, in Orlando, I said, we bought land in Burundi, where we house girls and mothers, and they come to these centers. We also have an orphanage in Nakuru in Kenya. So there's some of those that can be done. The immediate need right now is to bring awareness and really call out these individuals that are doing this. In my hometown, it's very easy for me because I have access to like our governor and stuff. And our governor went on record last week saying that he's gonna go after every man that is found. And if you defile a girl, you're gonna be jailed and up to 15
what
years.
What are the laws like? Does the government and the legal system support women and girls?
The laws exist. The enforcement is minimal, bare minimal. It always ends up being the locals that take the law, within their own hands. I mean, in Kenya right now, if you're caught raping, the ones that are caught, if you're caught raping a young child and stuff like that, sometimes you don't make it to the court.
Right.
How often are they caught? Go ahead, Rose.
Oh, sorry, what did you say? Again, I missed that.
I'm guessing they're not caught or prosecuted very often.
That's why we're saying it's a huge challenge unless something is done, like Olga says, where the governor has to put his foot down. Will that happen? But majority slide away. And I said, and most of the situation, I hate to say this, is incest, because they go unnoticed and they're being covered by the parents to protect the kid, to protect the mother and all that stuff. It's very unfortunate. So education, as we said, and training, as we said, and go where there's a worse situation, we protect them by taking them to the safe havens, as Olga mentioned. That's the best thing we can do to give them an opportunity to survive and have a future. It's very, very sad.
So how would we donate to the 14 events that you want to do? And then how else could we donate support to the I Hope organization?
You want to take that, Olga?
Yeah, so through the I Hope Facebook page, we've posted the Cash App handles, we posted the Venmo. Actually, last time we did this a week ago, Dana actually, a couple of Keller Williams agents contributed, and we're tracking those. We have not made it as public as today. So Rose has a Venmo handle, a Cash App handle, and you can donate there directly. It's on the Facebook page. If you look at my Facebook page, I'll be posting that on there. Ashley will also be sending you, I'll keep you updated, obviously directly, so that if anybody is interested in this, we'll eventually, what we want to do is create a hashtag, protect our Kenyan girls hashtag. We did about a few hashtags last night, and we'll use those hashtags to really share. If you see that on my thread or on Rose's thread on Facebook, we urge you to reshare that. We'll also be on the Go Give Us Facebook page on this Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Grace Ramirez will be leading that, and Brittany Stewart. We'll be joining hands on Wednesday evening to also continue this conversation and raise that money.
Awesome. I think between those, we'll hit that for sure.
I'm gonna post it on the chat right now so that you guys can have the handle.
Awesome.
And then one of our viewers, Brian Garrity, asked if there's a way or a link somewhere where you can direct us if he wanted to sponsor a family or one of these little girls directly.
Again, if you go to info@ihope.org, I'll put it down there, because that will give us your info and what you want to do, and we kind of have that communication fluid, so that you tell us how far you want to do or whatever you want to do, and we get you access to the community, working with Olga again, so that we have the right database and the right personnel to go to. Thank you.
All right. What else should we know that we don't know? Obviously, you two are entrenched with the information coming out of that part of the world, and this was pretty shocking to me. And it's so little can go so far. I mean, we've got, even though this is a weird time on the planet, there's still a ridiculous amount of resources in the United States that can help. What else should we know?
Basically, we just want to create awareness, and we able to have skills adopted to these girls, or the youth, so that they're independent, so that they don't become dependent to these situations where people misuse them because they're vulnerable. So training is a key thing. Mentoring and coaching is a key thing, and all this involve the teachers, the instructors, the therapists, the doctors, because we have to go to those who are already affected. We have to check with the neuros to help them come back to themselves. And even the OBGYNs, I mean, because some give birth and die, it's just so sad. They're young. The pelvics are never developed. It's a very sad situation. Some go unrecognized because it's in the village. The only persons we probably know is because they have been identified, but because mostly they go unnoticed. And if we bring this awareness, this campaign to the ground, the government will definitely come up and do something for once. So it is us to make them wake up and do the necessary. Yes.
I think one of the things too that we can continue to do is, individuals like myself and Rose, is really stay engaged with all of you. One of the things that I really love, despite everything that's going on with COVID-19, I feel like it's really allowed us to slow down and really start looking at these things at a deeper level. I mean, we've been activists in Kenya just for years, and there's so many Kenyan women in the US and all over the world that are doing so many things. One of the things that I'm really proud of is, you post something like that and you see the reaction, and it's friends that are in Las Vegas and Tampa and all these different areas in the US that say, hey, I want to get involved. I think us being the voice of that, involving our friend Emi Koske with her gospel music, see what she can do. And continue really, we've learned there's two things that really work in Kenya. It's through song and through awareness and social media. The power of social media is immense. And there's a lot of people that are doing great things to really go deeper and resolve this. And we understand too that when we bring something to the attention of the governors that listen, and we're able to get into these places, we get a reaction. We have so many projects that we want to bring awareness to, and my job, I was telling Rose and a few of my friends, is I don't have to be personally involved in each of them. What I'd like to do is, like what we're doing right now, expose their work to my network. We have another one of our great, Kenyan women here in Tampa that has a whole cause around autism. She's a parent of an autistic child. And they've taken it all the way. They have, including beauty pageants, annual conferences here and in Kenya. They raise a lot of money and awareness around autism. So we'll continue to share these organizations so that we can have, especially within our Keller Williams family. Our Keller Williams family is just phenomenal. And I was sharing that with Rose. Like when we take action and we get involved, we really do that. And we have some phenomenal agents within Keller Williams that are doing some really great work, already. Even when you go to the Lady Leaders group, you will see the work that's being done by our own Keller Williams agents. Rose, I know you have a Keller Williams agent that's helping you out in Tampa, and I've never met her face to face, but when you to me,
you bring out that Christine Enns is one of us, and she's the treasurer of I Hope. And she is also my partner in Rotary Club. So you can imagine it's about service above self all the time. And this is a drawing factor for us. And it is amazing. And it has pushed us to work even harder because we have that kind of concept, doing something not for us, but for the community. So Christine Enns, one of you guys, she's amazing. Kelly Williams, amazing. Having said that, we also mentioned that we have pastors that work with us on the ground. I will particularly mention Pastor Kenali and Pastor Monica, who is our Kenyan director. They have put things together. Right now, as we speak, when Oglah put it out, we covered over 150 young kids, young girls, and did the training. So you can imagine the power of coming together. Just for 1 week, we have been able to reach 150. Tell me, they're gonna talk to 1, 2, 3. So it's a double effect. And I believe this training and education will go further. Working with the therapists, one of the therapists is Ruby and Sheba. They're doing amazing, amazing, amazing things on the ground. And we have logistic people, like one of them known as Rachel. She's amazing. You have any difficulty to do your stuff, she will definitely help with that. And not to forget one more important person, he's known as Kenauma. Kenauma is very close with the next station that we are going to, that is Machakos, Gatamah. And he is working all he can to make sure that this most affected area has enough material for training, education, and we be able to reach them out, because we just want to make a difference in their life and make them look to the future and not the past. Thank you.
So what I love is it is all about training and education. And when you can get, I'd love more information on the books once you can start distributing again. That's the only thing that changes anything is education. And you're right, when you said one girl will talk to another, and it's the ripples. You're starting an amazing movement that will just spread one by one.
Yes.
Okay, Olga, or questions from the audience?
Yeah, there was a question for Brian about female circumcision. For the most part, that was added to our constitution after so much work and by women in Kenya. So it was outlawed. There are still two main communities that do it. Because it's really quite a, but in these areas like where we talk about, like in my local area and and Rose's area, that we don't have that as rapid as it used to be before.
And I was curious, what are the industries? So if we're talking about people getting a vocation or training, what are the industries that a woman could get into to support herself?
So right now we're really pushing hands-on training, small businesses. We truly believe, because the thing with Kenya is you can have 100,000 students graduate college with a bachelor's degree and there's 12,000 jobs.
Wow.
Every single year. It's actually a number that's published. If you Google graduation rates in Kenya, it's a number that's published. There's just not enough jobs to do that. The government has allocated funds in local counties, and because we have a devolution government right now, so we do in the county level, there's money that's been dispersed and budgeted by the government for technical training. So we're looking at social work. We're looking at animal husbandry. We're looking at electricians and electrical engineers and mechanical engineers. We're looking at farming. That's more on an updated scale. We're doing a lot of, right now, if you Google Kenya, Kenya has, the other day I was surprised, one of the largest exporters of avocados. I did not know that. We are also number 1 or number 2 for cut flowers in the world. So there's all these, if we can help our women learn business, one of my biggest dream actually is to take a group of Keller Williams agents to go to Kenya and really go into these places and do trainings, because
entrepreneurship.
Completely, where they don't have to rely on jobs. There's just not enough jobs out there available for them. Our education rates are pretty decent when you look at Africa as a whole. One of the things that has made a big difference in Kenya is Kenyans living outside Kenya, like us, diasporans, right? we have become part of the top 5 on the GDP we remit billions and billions of Kenya shillings to the country. So if we can also empower the Africans and the Kenyans in the United States, Canada, Australia, to do some of the work that we're doing, we can really change. I personally, I'm very convicted that the solutions of Africa will come from Africans. The days where we rely on handouts, that's no longer sustainable. There's so many things that we can do with technology that can get to a lot of our folks, our women, our young girls. We can use technology to do that. There's I think it's Sarita out of Maryland. I have to remember which market center she's in, but she was working with a young lady, and they created an app and raised money. We did some crowdfunding to raise money to help with the building of that app, and that was just to train women on entrepreneurship. And so those are some of the things that long term, I really believe that technology is a solution.
Well, and I think with the coronavirus and just being able to see how much of our world can operate this way, it's another blessing of it. I mean, we can open businesses, they can open businesses there that can interchange with the US easily.
Yeah, I Google, I do too much studying, that's my problem. The founders of all these startups in Africa and in Kenya, and I think all of them, if not all of them, are foreign based.
That's
so
true.
If we can actually create, think about a marketplace like Amazon, where you can transact and you can sell jewelry and clothing and things that they can actually do to really run a business. It would be amazing.
Okay, Rose?
I agree with she's an entrepreneur, so you can imagine what she can what she has in the table. I'm a service person. Send me, I will go. But she knows where to get that investment going and helping people get jobs. And that's why I'm just so happy to partnership with you all, regardless of how big or how small you do it. It's the heart. It's how you want us to change this narrative. And we can do it. It starts by one step.
I love that. I don't know if you know a woman named Mo Anderson. She was our first CEO of Keller Williams, and she says the greater purpose of business is to give. And so when you bring that service mentality together with the entrepreneurship, anything's possible.
Anything is possible. I agree. Yes.
All right. So we've got all the links in there. Go ahead and add to the chat box anything else you think we should be exposed to. I will definitely share on my Facebook page until and probably after that $2,800 goal is hit. That goes a long way. I mean, that is not a whole lot of money, but it will support 14 events there.
Yeah, and if you guys have any idea that can be adopted, that can make a change that is progressive and allow sustainability, we are welcoming all that. And if we have friends who have a computer industry that can give us refurbished computers, that would be a great thing. Just having one in a community, and we mean the rural village, that makes a whole difference, because now they have a center to get their resources, and the parents come in and they'll never be the same because they're now interacting with the world and seeing it differently and not just the enclosed environment where they are. Yeah.
I wrote a letter from a young girl in Kenya last night. I'd like to read to you guys finally.
Okay.
It says, "Listen to me, I'm crying out. Can you hear me? Sitting here alone, thinking about the decisions that I have made or the decisions that were made for me. Sitting at home with nothing to do, with no school to go to, no church to attend. Mom is so desperate to feed us. Dad is sinking into sadness so deep. Normal life is over as we know it. We have nothing and no hope. With such hopelessness, we're turning to each other in anger and frustration. God, we need you now more than ever. Where are you, Jesus? My friends and I met We discussed ways to help. This girl spoke out loudest, sharing that her new boyfriend had given her some money and brought her some groceries to bring home. Her family sat that evening eating food like a family again. She did that for her family. She sacrificed her body to him to be able to feed her family. She did not care what happened to her as long as she could bring food, laughter, and happiness back to the family. And he kept giving her a little money every time they did it. With such hopelessness, we're turning to each other in anger and frustration. God, we need you now more than ever. Where are you, Jesus? I took action today, walking to the area where the border men are with their bicycles. I summoned courage and presented myself. He stepped out and approached me. He's older than me, but not big. Maybe it won't be so bad. He was quick to assure me that he can be there for me and my family, that he can help my family. He was so charming and confident. I knew not to believe him, but what's the alternative? My angry father, my hopeless mother, my hungry siblings, maybe it won't be so bad. I have to be strong. I have to be the solution. He took me to a small room. It was horribly painful, my first time. He kept complaining that I was not a woman. I stopped feeling and just laid there in surrender. He told me to be a woman and to please him. I don't know what that meant, but I pretended. It was horrible, but I kept thinking about my family. It's not about me, it's about them. Maybe dad won't be so angry at everybody. Maybe mom will stop crying. Either way, I was helping. I'm providing a solution. I left the room with a little money for groceries. My parents were too distracted to ask me where I got the food. I spent the day and night in my room deeply ashamed, but also relieved. I bought just a few hours of happiness to my family tonight. I don't know what will happen next. Where will I get a sexually transmitted disease? Will I get pregnant? How soon will everybody find out? I don't know, but I have to be strong. I'm 13 years old and should be getting ready to get married anyway. But will anyone else want me? I'm damaged goods. I have to stop thinking like this. Right now, my job is to help my family. I just want us to go back to normal. I want us all to be happy, eating and laughing like we used to. When dad worked and mom grew vegetables, I sold them in the market. I want the coronavirus to go away. It's bringing too much unhappiness to my family. Lord Jesus, I am appealing to you. Please end this horrible disease. Our family will not survive this. We're staying home safe, which means no work for dad, no marketplace for mom to sell her vegetables, no school for us, no food for the family. I don't know how much more I can do this. It's horrible. I want a future like any other young girl who's 13 years old, to go to school and get a job, to help my family later on. I don't want this. It doesn't seem like the life God wants for me. We need you, Jesus. Please help us.
I wanna add to that. Two former principals. One is called Mrs. Minor, Imelda, and another one is called Georgina. Georgina is in Nairobi. Imelda is in Kisumu. She had to go to her village and take 30 kids in her own home to feed them lunch hours because they don't have the food, and the only solution they have is to go to the border and get the sanitary pads and get food. Their parents don't have it, as she has read. It is a true story. So this principal took 30 kids in her house and offered every lunch hour to have them with their own money to make a difference in them and tell them there is an option. Don't do this to yourself. So what she's lacking now is how can she have them make whatever they make, like baskets, and where can she sell this? Because she doesn't want them to be dependent on the lunches she gave, and it's a huge sacrifice. Georgina, who is in Moi Educational Center, offered the same thing in the slum areas, Kayole specifically, offering her services to them, teaching them. And now, because there is no digital connection, she cannot go ahead and do this. If she had, she would teach them from wherever comfort zone that they are in without them getting involved with these situations where men take advantage of them. I'm just echoing what she has said. And it teared me up. And that's when we said, you know what, everything is going to be on stop. We're going to deal with this crisis. And we started off and kicked on when the stories were being told last week when they had a radio show. I'm telling you, you would cry listening to girls saying their stories. They didn't care because there was that barrier. Now it's just their phone, they're being heard. It's very, very unfortunate. Moms have to hide their kids. Some moms have to use their kids to get food for their family. It is so sad. Sorry, I'm emotional on this.
And guys, we don't share this. I don't want to make you guys sad. It's our reality. As we live here, I think I shared with you last time that, you know, my kids I've had to go without many times so that we can help. But just impacting 10 or 20 or 30, because in the city, they're more exposed. In the city, you know, they have, you know, there's more visual to this. But when you go to the rural areas, the smaller towns and the villages, you know, this is where it gets bad, because there's just, you know, people not, unfortunately, men know that they can get away with it. And this is what happens. And I always tell, you know, my friends and, you know, my family members that are male, that it's not that we're bashing you, but the pregnancies are very evident and it's coming from somewhere, and we're just gonna keep fighting until we make a difference. And
well, and Oglah, you've got, it's not that you're making us sad, but sharing this kind of reality, first of all, we have to know, right? The only way you have to bring our awareness to it. And if it doesn't strike you very deeply, and tragically, that there's something wrong with you. And often that's what it takes to get us to actually move into action. So I appreciate you reading that letter. Rose, thank you for sharing even more. And I mean, there's so many layers. And again, once the awareness is there, none of us who are listening to this can go backwards. Now we know. And that should help the cause.
thank you. We're in this for the long term. We're in this for the long haul. And so we'll continue sharing the journey. We'll continue sharing the information.
And we're obviously going to stay in touch. So as we kind of mark progress, I'd love for you to come back and tell us how things are going.
Love that.
Rose, thank you very much for taking the time and being here today. Oglah, thank you for the intro. And incredible work that you both are doing. Wholehearted. You inspire me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you. Have a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing the tally on the dollars go up quickly.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.